I'm going to show you how to quickly turn this plain 2D floor plan into this 3D looking floor plan using nothing but Photoshop so that you can make your floor plans stand out. In fact, stick around till the end of the video and I'll show you how you can use this as an upsell opportunity with your clients. We'll start off here in Photoshop because this is all that you're going to need to turn this floor plan from this plain looking one to just have these edits applied to it. And I'm going to show you what all those edits were involved and how you can do this. It works on any type of 2D floor plan. Most common, what I'm showing here, that's Cubicasa. It can also work on iGuide, Magic Plan, ones you make yourself, just about anything. And also then you can automate this by using an action. So for instance, if I turn off the edits and I go to my layer here, if I go to the actions panel, I've made an action that does this. It's called Floor Plan Enhance. When I click that, it's going to do all of the edits that I've just showed you here. So you can see in just a few seconds, this was made. But let's back out of that and start over so that we can see all the steps involved. Step number one is to make these lines darker. What we want to eventually do is to select all the walls. So if you already have a floor plan that has very dark walls, you won't need this step, but with Cubicasa, it's very common to have these kind of pale looking grayish walls. So what we're going to first do is put a levels adjustment layer here by going to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and then to Levels. Name it whatever you'd like. The key is to take the left slider here, this one, and then move it to the right. And you can see that it darkens up the walls. So now we have something that's good because the next thing we want to do is select those. The best way to do that at this point is to stamp all the layers together now, which is really just our levels layer and the floor plan. So what I'm going to do is on Windows, I'm going to do Control-Alt-Shift-E, and on a Mac it would be Command-Option-Shift-E, and that creates a stamped layer. Now we've got just this one layer that we'd be working with. The next step is to select all these walls. And one easy way to do that here, since they're black and everything else is just a little bit lighter, is we're going to do a color selection. So go up to the Select menu, and then to Color Range. And then from here, you want to click on one of the black walls. When you do that, you'll see that change here, but an easy way to see this is to change your selection preview from None to Grayscale. Now we can see what's being selected, and it is selecting a lot of the text. So being pretty much just black and white, I can bring this fuzziness slider over to the left, and it'll reduce a lot of that. Now we have more selected, but there's a lot of ways to deal with this. I'm going to talk about both. First step though is we need to have our selection, so click OK. Now that we have that, we want to copy and paste this selection to a new layer. Easy way to do that on Windows, for instance, is just to Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste. Now we have a new layer here, which is just our walls, but it does have this other text. So I could, if I wanted to, during the selection process, I could have deselected those things. That would be something that you couldn't put into an action and we'd have to edit later. But to show how that would work, we'll back out of this. I'll just delete this layer and we'll do the selection again. So I'll go up to Select, Color Range. We've got that selection and I'll say OK. Now at this point then, I could merely take like the marquee tool and make sure that it's in subtract mode, which is this icon up here. That's going to subtract from the selection. And while everything's selected, I just draw a quick little marquee over top of each one of these areas of text, and that's deselecting it. We can do this later though, after we apply the effects. It's just that it is easier now. If you want to do it and you're not using an action, this would be a good time to do it. If you are using an action, then we'll just delete these later. So in fact, we'll leave a couple in here so that we can delete those later to show both techniques. Either way, just like I showed earlier, we want to do Control-C, Control-V. We want to copy our selection and then paste it. so that we have just this one layer. So if we take a look, we have just our walls selected and a little bit of text that was left over, so we can see both methods of dealing with that. Okay, now let's turn that back on, and what we want to have is something that is better than just a plain white background. So I'm going to go below our walls layer, and that's right here. And I'm going to make a new color fill layer. So I'm going to go up to Layer, and then a new fill layer, and then solid color. You want the mode to be in darker color, and that's because we're going over top of a white background. If your background's different, then you would maybe use a color blending mode or something else, but this is the most common, so we're going to use darker color. When I click OK, it's going to start out with probably a default color, that's fine, and you could go here and then select some other color that you feel is nice. The one that I've been using is, if you use for the reds 252, and then for the greens 228, 169, you've got a nice looking kind of layer here. Now, it doesn't have to be necessarily this dark. You can change the opacity of the layer, or you can also go over here and just change some of that to something else that you'd prefer. Let's use this color and say OK. Now at this point, this is where the magic happens, where we're going to give this a 3D look. We want to select our layer that had the walls. That's this one here, as you recall, just our selection of the walls. And we want to turn this into a smart object. You do that by right-clicking on the layer and then saying Convert to Smart Object. This allows us to go back and make other adjustments if we want to. The adjustment we want to make to give it the 3D looking effect is a path blur. What we'll do is go up to Filter, Blur Gallery, and then to Path Blur. When that comes up, you want to uncheck this box that says Centered Blur. Now you can see we're starting to get shadows. But to direct the shadows to where we'd like the sun to be, we just rotate this arrow, and you can see the shadows are moving as though that's where the sun is. And so I like to give it kind of a west to east look, as though this is about sunset. The sun is setting in the west, so we're going to have kind of this direction of our shadows. Then it's a matter of using 3 different adjustments up here. Speed is basically the length of the shadows, taper is the feathering, and the endpoint speed is how long the endpoint of this arrow of the direction where that would be. What I have found to be good is to use a speed of 137%. Once again, this is completely up to you, however you would like this to look. And then for the taper, I found that about 45% works really well for our taper. And then the endpoint is somewhere about 100 or so. And you can play with that and see what looks good, but that's what I have in my action, is to have that set to 100, which looks like this. And to me, that's a pretty good 3D type of look with the shadows. Once again, you can change the direction and see how those look. And you can also then change the taper. You can change the speed. We could make these exceptionally long shadows, especially if you were using the endpoint speed. You can see we can really make some long shadows, because you can always erase some of these shadows later by just having a layer mask on this particular layer, which is really just the adjustment of the feathering here of all this shadow that's being cast. But we'll bring this back down to something a little bit more reasonable, right at about 100. So once we're there, then all we need to do, just click OK. So now that we have this, it's a matter of how we want to just finish it off, if we want to do anything at all. Since we made it a smart object, we see the smart filters are down here, and I could double click on Blur Gallery, and that'll bring back up the Blur Gallery with our path blur, and we can make further adjustments if we want to. I'll just cancel out of that. But now what we can do also is it has a mask for the smart filters, so this is where I can decide to erase some shadows. For instance, if we go in here to where it says Foyer, you can see that there's some shadows, same with here, because I didn't remove those from the selection when we were selecting the walls. So I'll just use an eraser with a 30% flow, And I'll just then erase some of these shadows. Now you could use a marquee tool or a polygon, but I like to use the eraser because it makes sure that we don't have a harsh line left over if we're trying to get close to other shadows. So we do that there. That's probably about all the text. What we can also do is, for instance, this might be just a little annoying on the outside here. So I can go in here and just, let's just reduce that shadow just a little bit. I can just erase just a little bit of that. Doesn't have to be a lot, just enough. It kind of is just a little distracting. It just doesn't really give the house itself any oomph. A little bit too much maybe in the hallway here, so I can reduce that. You can also change the layer's opacity. If I felt this was too much shadow, then I could just reduce the layer opacity and reduce that also. But to revisit what we did, remember we started out with this plain looking floor plan here. We darkened it up, we merged our layers together, we added a color fill layer, and then we selected all of the walls, and you can at that point also then deselect text, but you don't have to, because the trick is going here into the blur gallery and using a path blur, putting it wherever you like, to what extent you'd like, and then using the mask of the smart filters to then remove any unwanted shadows that you'd like. To use this to your advantage as an upsell opportunity for your clients, think of it more as an advantage. So instead of saying that I would charge more to have this 3D look, think of it this way, that it would lock you in to doing those floor plans. Also, you could be charging a little bit more, because what's been happening lately, you might have seen that some of these floor plans are being done by real estate agents using Cubicasa. So with Cubicasa being very popular in producing these 2D floor plans, sure, they can get something that looks okay, but if they hire you to do the floor plan, then you can provide something much better. And that's where the pricing comes in. So realtors can, just like anybody else, you can do a free Cubicasa floor plan or pay like $15 for the next level up that shows the fixed furniture, but you still don't get anything that really stands out. That's when you have to start paying a lot more money. Also, the realtor has to do it themselves, and take the time to do the floor plan. So when you offer it and you're doing better floor plans than not just them, but also anyone in the area, well, that makes you stand out as not just a person who can do better floor plans, but as someone who is a standout professional real estate media provider. And that's important, in that everything that you do for all the media that you produce, not just these floor plans, but also photos if you're doing video or anything else, if you can show that you've got one step above the competition, that locks you in. And once again, that makes you stand out as a real estate media provider in your area that can do better than the rest. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more regarding this subject or something else, please leave me a comment below.